interestingly, you leave me with a point saying that there are only 17 or 16 good brands who are already present in India, and mostly people, 500, 600 luxury brands are still waiting to come to India, whereas we still talk about big numbers, we talk about manufacturing, we talk about young population, we talk about high income group, we talk about everything. Why are these people not coming to India? So luxury has two components. I would put it open to any of the panelists who would want to answer this. One is you make in India and then do luxury. The other is you get the luxurious, well-established brand from India, from abroad, and ask them to invest in India. So one is manufacturing component, the other is investing component. So I would put open a question, why do you think there is a resistance in Western world, in other outside brands, to come and invest in India vis-a-vis luxury? Yes.
No, I think that 3-4 answers to this. Setting in the whole mindset of India on buying luxury, it needs some time to evolve. Like Indian men spending on clothes for themselves, it's still not considered to be very cool. If you go in the West, like women, even men spend a lot on themselves.
Mindset, you're talking about.
It's about
mindset.
Grooming. It's about spending on your own self, where you'll want to have the best of suit, the best of shoes, accessories. So it's a little bit of mindset wherein India is still rural. If you look at the urban male, he is okay with it, but the rural population still feel yes, it's for ladies.
No, but luxury is not meant for him now.
No, but there are a lot of brands which cater to men. I mean, if you look at a lot of brands, like shoes brand, which are catering to men primarily, there are a lot of brands which actually have, like office wear. I mean, if you cross, who's going to use it? It will be, the major chunk will be male. I think secondly is the government regulations, the taxes here, the real estate structure here, in the uncertainties in the policies. Is also what makes the IP protection, is what makes some brands a little wary to come to India, because there's still no clarity on that front. They would look at India as a base to manufacture because they feel India has the skill sets, there's a cost advantage, there's arbitrage there. So on that front, there's definitely potential for them. But for them to come and mainstream be in India here, it's still a little shaky because they have a lot of those checkpoints which are not fulfilled here. I think thirdly is also on the major thing also is copyright. We spoke of Cartier not being in India, is because people will go and copy it blatantly here. You make a little change here and you start selling it, and go and file case in court and keep on fighting it. That's what they don't want there. See, a consumer should be able to appreciate luxury and should insist on buying the original product. Like in West, you see people who will not buy a fake. It's not because they're stupid, but because they value what has gone behind the entire making of the brand, be it the designing, be it the craftsmanship, be it the hard work, and they appreciate that. Here, it's again value for money. क्या फर्क पड़ता है ये ले लेते हैं. So until that mindset changes, those brands do not want to commit these kind of budgets to India.
Okay, I well appreciate this. Now you're giving me two leading points here, Saurabh. One is that you are saying there is a certain mindset in the Indian consumer particularly, and therefore he does not kind of understand the story behind a brand being created, or maybe a piece of art that you've put into your apparel or in your jewelry or in your furniture or anything. That story is either not well told, if well told, then not well understood. So the part of being well told is our responsibility, because that is what our business is all about. But the part of being not well understood cannot be blamed on the consumer, because consumer is the king. So I think the takeaway here is that we as the business runners should focus more on the awareness about the story behind the brand that we are talking about. The part two that you talked about was the regulatory hurdles. That's the prime work area of FICCI particularly. So that is very close. Why I'm here is to also understand from the panel here that what are the policy regulations and taxation issues vis-a-vis luxury. I don't see a very clear policy around luxury. No incentives that I see around in current situation of government ecosystem. And taxation, of course. I mean, interestingly, I had a chat with BMW the other day, and they told me that the cars that you get in India are taxed 250%. So 250% is the tax amount that you're paying in any of the BMW car. So that is the kind of setup that you have in India. So what's your experience vis-a-vis tax-related issues?
See, when we say Mr. Modi's Make in India concept, he mean to say that the people should come from abroad, set up industry in India and then again export it, right? But what about Indian consumers? So my question, we are, as I represent a label called Raghavendra Rathore, we are manufacturing in India, selling abroad. So when we compare ourselves with the exporters, when we compare ourselves with the policy makers, those export incentives which are given to exporters, getting rebate on excise, getting additional 7 to 8% of drawback. So those things, I think the people who are consuming in India, manufacturing in India, they should be also incentivized. So those things we should keep in factor, and it will definitely help to grow manufacturing base in India. Secondly, the skilled manpower. There is a big attrition rate in the manpower, which is again a big challenge to set up an industry. So we take years and years to build people, and then attrition is the reason they move on to other different areas. So retaining those people, again, the government need to support a lot onto these two areas, which we are also facing a lot of problems.
Thank you. And now I'm getting a tinkler from behind the curtains, but I would leave every one of you, anyone who would want to put across the last word to the panel, and then we'll conclude the panel.
FICCI as a panel can also talk to government on how they can prevent counterfeiting and, piracy.
We have a counterfeit and piracy cell, which is called Cascade.
Like at the France airport, if you're caught wearing piracy, a fake watch, they'll destroy the watch there itself. So, there's strict penalties for that.
Right, that's very interesting. I'll tell you something about it. Under Jago Grahak Jago, we work very closely with Ministry of Consumer Affairs, our counterfeit division, Cascade division. There is a division within that which is only working on designer, but there is no division which is working on luxury. The more focus there is on atta, dal, chawal. The primary essential, not
that's adulteration.
They are counterfeit.
See, that's more adulteration.
No, I'm talking about Godrej becoming Godraj. Yeah, that's counterfeit. I'm talking about those kind of, the focus of the government has become there. So, yes, that's a good takeaway for me as FICCI. I would take it back to the...
More enforcement. There should be policy and will be enforced.
Yeah.
India, there are a lot of policies in place.
Yeah.
But again, being a big country, we need to have systems to enforce it. And once this fear, counterfeiting, it should be like two-way thing. One is about education, where people are made aware of counterfeiting, that it's not bad. It's bad for industry, it's bad for you as a consumer, because you're taking away something which rightfully belongs to that person. And secondly, is the punishment will come with that.
Absolutely. It has to be a punitive action which follows.
It's going to be really a stage will set for people to enter into India.
Thank you.
I would like to add one more thing.
Yeah.
If suppose government can support into taking decisions, right? We have seen a lot of copying, people are copying the product, they are selling in the market, and we go to the court, it takes almost 7 to 10 months or even more than that by the time he sells the product and moves on. So those things, temporary injection should be there, those kind of thing has to be incorporated by the government systems to move it much faster.
I very well understand this point, and I would request you to come on board on FICCI and talk about this while we go out and discuss the issues with ministries. Anything that you would want to put in?
Yeah, parting comment. Now I know that a lot of businessmen in the room belonging to the retail world. So one major challenge for luxury brands, which kind of prevents them to come to India, of course, apart from the IP and other regulatory issues, is that there is a lack of luxury distribution network and distribution capability. So at best, a luxury brand is comfortable in setting up, a few shops in Delhi and a few shops in Bombay and maybe a few shops in Bangalore. But obviously that's not big enough business. They want it all done very tightly controlled, because there is a lack of distributors or even retailers who can manage that business for them in a pan-India scale. So there's and that's the case even for us. So we're, cross leather, like my company is looking for partners like that. But all we find is, the partners who are really big, distributors who are really big and have pan-India presence, are really not, off the level or have the level of experience dealing with luxury, managing the brand, managing the price points, managing the consumer experience. That doesn't really exist with a lot of players. So there's an opportunity out there for retailers and distributors, who want to maybe take on the distributorship for a big brand, to upgrade themselves, try and learn how distribution is done in for luxury brands, and then that creates a whole new business opportunity for not only the retailers but also the brands, because now the brands can penetrate into many, many more cities using you and your capabilities. So I think that's the one parting comment I wanted to make.
Thank you, Varun. Anything that you would want to say?
Well, for me, America is always considered the land of opportunity. For me, it's India. It's here, it's now. I think with the rising amount of HNIs, and of course, aspirational class, there's so much that one can do. We just need to get over that mindset and get things going. So, yeah. That's about
Fantastic. So India being the land of opportunity. So I'll close with the lady's remark here. And thank you everyone for joining me on this panel. The great thing about the panel was that we got takeaways for the industry, for the distributors, for the aspirant designers, for the aspirant retailers and manufacturers, and also some takeaway for the government. So thank you everyone for joining us.